Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Donna Villa from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis marked the 10th anniversary of his pontificate on Monday, March 13, with a private mass with cardinals and a podcast which Vatican News branded as a popecast. The 9-minute audio in Italian was made available on Spotify and the Vatican News website. The Holy Father names the meeting with the elderly and the audience of grandparents from all over the world on September 28, 2014 as his, quote, most beautiful moment, end quote, at St. Peter's Square. Some of the most painful moments were those connected to the horrors of war, including visits to military cemeteries and the 2013 prayer vigil for peace in Syria. The gift he mostly wants for his anniversary, he said, is peace. Gender ideology is dangerous, said Pope Francis, as it blurs differences and the value of men and women. The Holy Father made this comment during an interview with the Argentine newspaper La Nación, reiterating his disapproval of the transgender ideology very clear. The pontiff slammed it as one of the most dangerous ideological colonization because it overlooks the differences between both genders. The Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, paid tribute to the 10 years of Pope Francis's pontificate. He praised the remarkable strength of character, the deep heart, and the simplicity of the Pope, adding that those attributes made it possible for him to reach out to those who are outside the Church. Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I of Constantinople and Grand Imam of Al-Azhar Ahmed Al-Tayeb also extended their greetings. U.S. President Joe Biden called Florida's restriction on minors receiving medical care for transgender people and its ban on gender ideology in schools as, quote, close to sinful, end quote. What's going on in Florida is terrible, Biden remarked in an interview with Daily Show host Kyle Penn. The president did not clarify which laws he was referring to, but Republican legislators in Florida have presented legislation and rules to safeguard kids from transgender medical treatments and limit the teaching of gender ideology in the classroom. March 16 marks the start of Florida's ban on pediatric transgender medical procedures and drugs, which was ordered by the state's Board of Medicine. Legislation outlawing transgender medical operations has also been proposed by lawmakers. After being purportedly fired by a National Health Service NHS facility for answering a patient's query regarding the Church's position on sexuality and marriage, a Roman Catholic priest in the United Kingdom is taking legal action against the NHS. According to his legal representative at the London-based Christian Legal Center, Reverend Patrick Puluzzino, 73, who was a temporary employee at Southwest London and St. George's Mental Health NHS Trust, was informed that the Trust's policy on equality and diversity takes precedence over religious belief after the patient complained. He is currently pursuing a lawsuit against the Trust, alleging harassment, religious discrimination, and victimization with the help of the Christian Legal Center. The trial is due to occur on the Croydon Employment Tribunal in July. Sexual assaults and other traumatic experiences have contributed to a degree of despondency and suicidal thoughts among young women in America, reveals a study released on Monday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC. Dr. Kathleen Ethier, head of the CDC's Division of Adolescent and School Health, claimed that the overwhelming wave of violence and trauma that young girls are experiencing is having an impact on their mental health. Startling patterns are revealed by the CDC's 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey. More than half of the teen girls, 57%, admitted to feeling persistently depressed or hopeless. That rate is the highest in 10 years. The survey, which has been conducted for 3 decades, includes responses from 17,232 high school students in the U.S. The Sandinista regime of Nicaragua has severed all diplomatic ties with the Vatican. This comes in the background of the Holy Father describing the dictatorship of Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua as Hitlerian dictatorship. The severing of ties was verbally communicated to the Vatican Secretariat by Yara Shuhen Perez Calero, who serves as the Consular Minister of Nicaragua to the Holy See. Since September 2021, there has not been an ambassador to the Holy See from that Latin American country as Ortega canceled the appointment of Eliot Ortega Sotomayor. In his interview, the Holy Father forcefully condemned the regime's attack on the Catholic Church. He also acknowledged the imprisoned Bishop of Matagalpa, the Most Reverend Rolando Alvarez. Meanwhile, the chair of the United Nations Human Rights Group of Nicaragua, Jan Michael Simon, said the use of the Nicaraguan justice system against political opponents is exactly what the Nazi regime did. On Wednesday, March 15, a hearing in a case filed by anti-abortion groups seeking a nationwide ban on abortion drug mifepristone will take place with media organizations urging the judge for greater transparency. Judge Matthew Kazmirek of the U.S. District Court of Amarillo will hear the case and decide whether to temporarily ban all sales of medication, including areas where abortion is still allowed. According to legal experts, the Texas lawsuit may be the most important national abortion issue since the U.S. Supreme Court reversed its historic 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, which has guaranteed abortion rights everywhere last year. Mifepristone is a component of the pharmaceutical abortion regimen used in the United States, where it accounts for more than half of all abortions. The Indian government has voiced its opposition on petitions filed at the Supreme Court by gay partners seeking recognition of same-sex marriage under the law. On Sunday, March 12, the government filed an affidavit before the court saying that the same-sex partners who live together and have a physical relationship cannot be compared to the Indian family concept in which a biological man and a biological woman marry and have children. The government said that marriage is an institution and has public significance. The affidavit also reiterated the seeking of a declaration for solemnizing and registering gay marriage has more ramifications than mere simple recognition. The Supreme Court of India had earlier decriminalized homosexual behavior by repealing a colonial-era law. Close on the Hill of the runaway hit The Chosen's third season, another Bible-based drama, will be screened in theaters close to Easter time, and it is already breaking records for its crowdfunding model. His Only Son will release on March 31, and it is based on the story of Abraham and Isaac from Old Testament. According to its distributor, Angel Studios, it is for the first time that a theatrical release is being crowdfunded. Director David Helling said it took 5 years to make the film, which is based on the mandate given by God to Abraham to sacrifice his son as a burnt offering. Angel Studios said the biblical drama is receiving a positive response from tens of thousands of investors who are called angels. Thousands of pro-life demonstrators took to the streets of Belfast City on Saturday, March 11, to proclaim their objection over a proposed legislation related to creating buffer zones near the health centers. The pro-life protest was over proposed changes to Northern Ireland's abortion laws. According to the proposed legislation that would take effect in May, no one can pray or gather near any abortion centers, creating buffer zones. Precious Life organized the rally at Custom House Plaza in Belfast, which was led by Bernie Smith. The pro-lifers claimed that the buffer zones would make it illegal for individuals to assemble near any pregnancy facility, and they would be subject to a £2,000 fine. A senior member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the U.S. Parliament, Brad Sherman, has expressed concerns over the rising human rights violations in Pakistan. Sherman, who has been in foreign affairs for 26 years, added his distress over rising incidents of violence in South Asian country and reminded the government about its duty to take action against those who violate human rights. Through a video statement, Sherman also urged the Pakistani government to provide citizens the freedom of speech and to allow them to hold peaceful protests. Asserting that it's important for the U.S. to stand with human rights, the congressman from California further clarified that the U.S. has no interest in Pakistan's internal affairs. In the latest atrocity by the Myanmar junta, at least 28 people were killed after the junta shelled a monastery in the southern Shan state. According to reports, the Karenni Nationalities Defense Force, or the KNDF, said that soldiers attacked the village of Nan Nine, killing 3 monks and other civilians at the monastery. Following the shelling on Saturday, March 11, the military's Air Force and artillery raided the village. Meanwhile, the junta's spokesperson, Zhao Mintun, also revealed that there had been clashes in Nan Nine village on Saturday, confirming the reports of the violence. Myanmar has seen increased conflicts between its military and armed insurgents since the junta's coup 2 years ago. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.